Alright, let's get to it. For Drest, you're going to want 2 tanks, 3 healers, and then the rest is going to be DPS. And you want to make sure that you kind of mix and match so that you're balanced enough to kill all the appendages together. Yeah, it's going to be very important, and I want to talk about that before we get really into the kill movement. So, Drest took us a lot longer than it should have. Like, we nearly matched our wipe count on Wrathion with Drest'agath because we didn't put enough emphasis on the big movements, right? So, what I want to show you actually is this is what we started with, okay, on the guide itself. Right, so we did all this stuff, and then we put in this movement of how we're going to be killing it. But this, it has numbers. I think it's straight from Wowhead, and it's got the numbers. It tells you exactly what you want to do, but unless you really go deep into this and like spend 30 to 45 minutes on going, okay, well, here's where we're going to start, and then figuring out the movement on your own preemptively, it doesn't really help until you get into the fight, and you're going to spend a lot of boss time or a lot of wipes figuring out how to actually move between each goal. So this is good as like to give your kind of raid leaders an idea of where you want to be going, but it would be better if we had put in some arrows and a little bit more emphasis on the movement itself, because that's the most important part, and killing certain things together. The reason you need to do that on Drest is because the way that the buff that the boss works whenever a tentacle dies is he gains energy, and then obviously at max energy he casts throws, and either a lot of damage going out or a lot of dodging going out, and it slows you down quite a bit or just wipes you. So we actually wasted like an entire night of prog because we saw, hey, we can kill this extra appendage, but we were like staggering everything, and the way that it was cascading like a minute later in the fight made the damage unhealable. And we're running with 3 healers. You can run with 4. But even with 3 healers on our prog, we actually ended up, you'll see at the end of this, we actually needed to brute force the boss health a little. So killing the movement, killing things together at the right times is super important on this fight. And you cannot have greedy play. The best way to give an analogy for the boss buff that gains energy is like bursting in Mythic Plus, right? So for bursting, if you get a bunch of stack at once and your healer's ready for it, you can avoid it. You can get through it. But if you extend a high stack count at the very end of it, then you add the stack and extend the duration, so it just becomes, like, lasts too long, and you're more likely to wipe. So that concept is very important, and I'm not going to stop a whole lot through the fight. I'm going to do some movements that are a little bit off screen, but it's a long fight, so I don't want the video to go too long. But here we go. So at the start, you're going to have 2 eyes next to Drest. These are going to be your priority targets. You want to bring these down even. What you'll see on every eye is you'll see them casting Mind Flay. Mind Flay kind of looks gentle. It's not. You want to interrupt absolutely as many of these as you can, and especially later on in the fight when you're moving around, you want to make sure that ranged are paying attention to it, because the melee aren't really going to be able to help. So now we're going to get these low. We're going to swap off. This tentacle is going to spawn on the right here. Right. So the way this works now is melee is going to this tentacle, this big guy right here, this big chicken tenda, right? These two, the 2 that are next to the boss, the 2 eyes, those are hold. We're not attacking those right now. And then I'm actually putting some damage into this maw because the rest of the ranged is back here, and there's an eyeball. I'll turn to it in a minute, and you'll see that they're going to be hitting that and bringing that down, but don't kill it. You want the first group that you kill. And this is the one for the first burn. You'll notice we didn't hero on pull. I didn't even pre-pod on pull. That's because we're saving everything for this burn that's coming up. Okay? So Squawk here is calling target priority, and he's going to be calling when we're supposed to switch. So I'm keeping an eye out for Mind Flays, trying to interrupt him as much as I can. Melee is on the tentacle, and range is hitting that eye over to the left right now, you see. So right here I actually swapped to Skull because I noticed that it's higher than the other eye.
Swap back, be more onto Skull, please. When we swap back.
So exactly, and exactly what he says. So we're gonna be swapping, and we're gonna be big killing. So X, Skull, and the tentacle all drop blobs. You want to assign these. So all the blobs that there were some right here where the eye died. There's some on the back side, and there was a bunch right here near the tentacle. You want to assign those, and then you want to go ahead and pick those up, burn hero, burn pots, and burn the boss. Okay, this is probably this burn, the better you execute it. Like right here, you see we actually left 2 fucking balls on the
It's a
ground,
good time to pop.
and that's
Turn
bad.
hero.
Okay, there's a lot to dodge here, but you should have really good uptime on the boss. There's really not a whole lot else to hit.
Yeah,
And
looks like we
so
have two
I'm
now
just going to be
picking up.
hitting the maw here. The eye that was
Guys,
on diamond
pay
already
attention.
died,
Don't be me. Don't be retarded.
and we should be good.
Watch your debuffs.
So I don't have a blob, so there's no sense in me hitting the boss. So I'm
Okay, be
pumping
where you need to be.
damage here into the maw while I dodge all these little purple Zambonis
Honestly,
that are
despite
going
that,
around.
not a bad burn. Boss health is fine. Just keep it up.
So
Melee
we
on
missed the 2
tentacle,
blobs.
reaching out that maw for
Usually you
range.
want to be under
Melee,
75%
we
with
can
with
hit
that
trash.
burn, probably
Should
closer
be
to 70, but it ended up
Okay, we're
being
gonna
okay.
get throws on
So-
next ad spawn. Be careful.
Because I didn't pick up on the initial,
Watch
I
the
picked
crash
up off
melee,
the maw,
Careful.
and I grabbed the void orbs
Yeah.
there. You see healers picking some up just to
Big
put some
commit on
damage. Now,
defensives and health
okay,
center.
next set, the priority targets here. You actually saw melee after their burn. Melee went back here. Okay, there was a tentacle way back here on Moon. They went there after their buffs fell off. And they couldn't hit the boss anymore. They went there, and then they moved over to here. Now, I'll say this right now for tank buffs. You want to use tank buffs in a way that fits your group. So you'll see what our tanks are doing. I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot, but we're trying to have them prioritize tentacles that we found over the progress of the pulls that needed help or were starting to fall behind. So there's a couple times they miss it, which sucks, but like you want to utilize and maximize those for your group. That really helps. So this next set, this is going to be a 4 kill altogether. It's going to be these 2 maws. Sorry, let me erase here. Okay, these 2 maws, this eye, and this tentacle right here. Okay, that's going to be our next big kill. So the first big movement is this is where we spawn. This is where we start the fight, and ranged is moving here. Melee is moving to blue, and then they're going to be coming to star. They're going to be killing that, and then they're going to be coming here to entrance and burning this tentacle. Okay, so that's what you're going to see. This and like the next 30 and 45 seconds is the first huge damage intake spike for the raid. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention and using defensives. I actually burn Astral Shift here pretty soon, I think.
Make sure we're
Yeah, right
dodging as
there.
well.
Just to give myself a little more survivability. So the healers are right there. And again, I'm burning boss
Okay,
just
good
for a little bit here
stabilize.
while I have the Ikrit buff.
After this,
After that, I'm
straight
going to
to the
put a little bit damage and
Switch
interrupts
swap
into the
pass.
eye. Mutterings, we found it's actually easier to minimize the
Let's
movement
go,
that you
go,
do with
go.
these unless
Watch
you
the
have a very
beams.
clear empty area and you're like on top of a shitload of people. But other than that, you just kind of want to minimize your movement
Spirit link
there.
going down. Let's crash.
All of our communication
There'll
on
be a
this fight
purple-marked player.
is talking about either defensive cooldowns or priority kill target, right? So right now we're going to get off the maws a little bit because they're getting a little bit low. We're going to focus
let's get
on the
back
eye a
on
little
that
bit, and we're
tentacle.
going to actually come against we're going to come up.
Hit eye and then get in on tentacle if we need.
So we're gonna start coming up against tentacle health. We don't want to overdo it.
No,
Even
just
out,
just
kill,
it,
even
just
out.
So
kill
now
it.
we just
Kill
even
all,
out and
all,
kill, and
all.
this is going to be another burn. Not a
Yeah.
lot of people have big cooldowns up, but it's still a good burn. You see somebody Zamboni,
Watch the
one of
beams.
the Voidikers in in front of me. Here,
Still
what you want to do? Okay, we just killed stuff over here. Okay, that's where the tentacle was, and we moved, big move, all the way over here. Okay, because we're anticipating that pretty soon there's going to be a second maw that spawns back here. So all the ranged and the healers, we're anticipating that we need to be in this area right here to have effective damage up for the next set of ads. So we're going to be killing 2 maws back there, and then melee is actually going to go and kill off a tentacle and eyeballs that are in this direction after this burn. Right. So
orb near boss.
we're still burning here. There's going to be an entropic crash.
Star.
You'll see people have to get out. Actually, I might have called that early, but so this is just a straight burn, right? You're putting damage into the
Crash,
boss.
crash.
There's the crash, and around that crash, that's usually when people's damage buffs are going to be
Okay.
falling off, so you're going
Melee,
to
we're
move.
going over to
Now.
blue.
Here we have the two tentacles. Sorry, 2 maws. Oops, 2 maws here for the range to kill. These are the 2 that we're going to be killing. This right here, this eyeball, you don't want to kill that yet. You fucking don't put damage into that. You're going to need that for a burn that comes up. But obviously it's tempting to dot it. You can multi-dot it, bring it down a little bit lower, and you want to interrupt it. Make sure you interrupt it, but don't kill it. So we're focusing on the 2 maws now.
Back maul here.
You see a tank come in and give it a debuff. And this is
Anyone
basically enough
confident?
for us to keep rocking. The melee are on a tentacle that's behind us right now, and there's 2 eyes next to it. As soon as we kill these maws, we're going to turn, pivot, and we are going to kill those eyeballs and the tentacles, and that's going to be another burn set. This is not a pickup right here. We don't pick up off of these maws very much. Some healers might, but it's not like an assigned
Don't
big
pick
pickup.
up.
So you actually heard Elsie say don't pick
So
up.
those eyes together.
Eyes near the tentacle.
Melee helping on eyes.
Moving, we're hitting, slapping stuff, blasting, having a
all
good
good,
old
it's all good.
time.
Just don't be afraid to edge in. People will move out.
I guess.
And we want again,
Even
we
up
want
the
these
eyes,
even,
guys. Even up the
and we want
eyes.
to pick up and then burn again.
Melee, do not be on tentacle. We're holding on tentacle. Okay, kill tentacle and eyes. Finish them off.
Burn.
Pick up.
Number warriors.
Uh, You know, one of the big things on this fight, while we do this burn, there's not a lot going on. You want to
So
avoid greedy play. Okay, if you have a lot of greedy players, you might struggle early on the prog here because they're going to be doing things like multi-dotting and accidentally killing off like the wrong things at the wrong time. The sooner you get it through that these have to die within a few seconds of each other, the easier the damage is for the healers to heal and the more you're going to progress in the fight. Also interrupts, if you have lazy
Okay,
interrupters,
melee, we know where to be.
mind play is going to start picking people off. So make sure that people are interrupting. Here, I think our mages actually combust on this far maw, just to get us a little bit ahead, and because they'd be sitting on the cooldown for far too long, and then they have it up again for the final burn phase, at which point we're like, the boss is at like 25 or less. Boss
We
percent.
didn't get a debuff.
Boss
so our
health
side will
percent.
be slow.
We missed an initial debuff, so we're a little slow on these, because I
Yeah, I
think
think we
sometimes the
skipped
boss
Don't
boss
pick up,
like
don't pick
skips a debuff that
up.
goes
Look
on the
at eye
tanks.
and the maw close to
Watch
bot.
crash. Careful crash.
Throw them
careful
together.
crash.
So another more
Don't be
subtle
blind,
movement,
be
but
involved
now
in
we're killing
knowledge.
this eye in the back here. That's the
Melee
one I was
hitting
talking about
tentacle.
earlier where
Melee
we
gets
didn't want to kill it yet.
fast.
A lot of
Push the
dodging
tentacle.
here. Stand in the middle of the ring circle. It doesn't do any damage in
Careful.
there. You just want to avoid the
Watch
stuff on the
yourself.
ground, and then
Bounces if you need 'em.
obviously
Bounces if you need 'em.
any of the
Pick up
Zambonis
Alboy
going
when we
through.
have a chance. Ish, that'll be you here, I think.
Alright, so now we're hitting eye. This is going to be another big pickup and
Even
burn.
though eye and
Do
maw
some interesting
range,
shit happen to me.
melee, we just
Like
focus
I'll
on
run
tentacle.
through a
Do not
void
kill
acre.
maw range. Do not kill maw.
Wait,
Do
And-
not kill that maw.
off eye, off maw.
Maw's gonna
Right, for
die. We got
example.
too greedy with it, but it's actually okay.
Okay,
Melee
Maw's
caught up.
dead.
Just kill
So.
eye, just kill eye. We're good. Push, push, push.
Pick up
Okay.
and burn. Spirit link.
We're
Bam.
spirit linking. What I see is this extra
Pick up Pam
void
fast,
acre by the
fast.
boss, and I go through it. But
Dodging,
then
guys,
actually,
dodging.
whoever
Big
that
damage.
druid was got it before me. So now I'm like, oh shit, my
Huge dodge,
my
guys,
elemental's
huge
up,
dodge.
but I can't hit it. And then I come over here, I pick this one up. I'm like, all right, time to hit the boss. What happens is this tentacle is actually a line of sight, and I couldn't get a line of sight on the boss. I wasted a huge chunk of damage on the boss there.
Melee round this
I would have felt
tentacle.
really bad if we weren't able to kill this because
Seeing
I
the
fucked
debuffs
that up.
fall off.
But you got to be
Careful
aware
about
that these
healers,
tentacles
eventually
are
do
big
not
line of
die.
sight blocks, so you
Blue
got to be
orange.
careful. Like I'm also out
Gotta
of
move
line of
towards
sight of
the
healers
eyes
there.
marker,
But the
towards the
reason I moved here, because okay, so we're all right here, okay, doing all that previous shit. And the reason I made this big movement to come over here is because the next priority of targets are right here. Okay. And you kind of want to time that so you're moving with the healers. So Elsie actually had a diamond on her head. So like I went a little bit early and like maybe could have been in danger if I took a little bit too much damage or there was too much too many crashes that went down. Ended up being okay. You'll see me, I get mutterings in a really bad spot here. Get right as people are trying to move to this area and I cut off all this. Like they can't go through here until this goes off me, but I'm like, okay, well I'll just put a wind rush down next to the boss and like I'll stay predictable, right? With mutterings, you want to be predictable. It's like driving, right? You can drive fast or whatever, but you want to be predictable.
Marker. Good stuff, good stuff. Dodging.
Keep eye maw at the same.
Right, so I get a dispel here. We're
Watch
gonna
crash.
be turning
Melee,
around.
we can help out
I
Pam.
hold off. Oh, another thing. Okay. This will happen to one of your ranged at least, okay? Like one of your ranged because it's a heroic mechanic, but the maw, okay, right here I got a little debuff. Oops, can't draw. Okay, if that stacks up to I think 5 or 4 or 5, you get mind controlled. And the reason you get that is because I'm standing too close to the maw. This is why melee don't hit the maws. Again, heroic mechanic, you guys probably know that. But right here, the tank was dropping off his big buff to hit both of these, so I just stayed near the maw to avoid it. I'm gonna move in here afterwards.
Don't stand next to more guys.
And I even say don't stand next to maw. Health drops a little bit there. Could have probably
Hey,
burned
melee,
a
back to tentacle,
Hellstone,
back to
but
tentacle.
we have some cooldowns rolling. I think Healing Tide's rolling right there. So on these little, this is again. So the way that we assign the
From
first,
Maut, melee hold and let's
I'm gonna pause just real quick. The way that we assigned the first burn is we had mages because of combust. We have 2 mages. We had 2 warlocks, Infernals, 2 Destro locks, and then hunters and boomies were picking up from the eyes that were near the boss, and then melee were picking up from the tentacle. So we have a similar thing. Okay, we're killing two appendages outside of melee, and we're killing 1 appendage in melee. So we have a similar setup. So basically, what we're saying is, okay, the same people that picked up at the start of the fight are going to be picking up here, especially the mages and the warlocks. Okay, we want the people with font to be picking up here. We're actually pretty high on boss health going into this at 25%. If you're much higher than 25% before this burn, you probably
2
won't
minutes,
kill it,
guys.
even with the brute force that we do at the end.
Yeah, big cooldowns here.
I'm here.
Okay, so we're big pick up here, big burn, and we're putting damage
Crash
into the
coming,
boss.
be ready for
I don't
crash.
get one,
Throws soon as well.
so I'm
Hellstone's
kind of
everything
like
you got as well.
Get out, get out.
kind of just fucking sitting around doing nothing. But what I end up doing, and the reason I do this is
Big
because
lift
you
here,
could
big
brute
lift.
force this boss if you're like sub 5%
Push the
HP
boss.
after everybody's
Keep
debuff
pushing.
falls off. So listen to Squawk's calls here. And what you'll see is when he gets to like 4% health, you'll actually see it as bring him down below that, and then he'll
Keep
heal
pushing
back up.
boss, keep pushing boss here.
So you'll see, watch this. Okay, so it goes to 4, 3, 2, then he goes back up,
Keep pushing, keep pushing. Kill, kill, kill. We can get through it. Just kill, just kill. Push, push. Good.
and there it
good,
is.
Nice.
Okay, hopefully
Well done.
that movement helps you guys execute, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.